All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Really excited to be here. As you can see, you got America's mayor here. We're all standing in one, both Democrats and Republicans. And I want to say welcome to the U.S. Conference of Mayors 83rd winter meeting. It's a great time. The timing is great for us to be here today after the President's State of the Union address, because as mayors know all too well, the drivers of our national economy are led by our cities. The State of the Union is strong because the state of our cities are strong. Last night, the President stated middle-class economics work, and he's absolutely right. When we put policies in place that ensure things like affordable child care, guaranteed paid sick leave, gender pay equity, and access to higher education, we build a healthier middle class and a healthier economy. We are pleased that the President has put forth such proposals, and if passed, they will be the key to economic prosperity in our cities. Consider the following. Cities and their metro areas account for 86% of all jobs, 90% of GDP, and 92% of future economic growth in our country. Today, we have released a 2015 update on the Metro Jobs forecast here. And I'm proud that we have our Zogby representatives over here on my far right. This report projects that all U.S. metros will see job growth this year, and for the first time since the recovery, it will be an estimated 2.65 million in jobs will be created nationwide in 2015. 2.65 million jobs will be created nationwide in 2015. That's good news for all of us. This job creation is also vital because our cities and suburbs are expected to grow by 66 million people over the next 3 decades. So cities are where the action is happening. The growth that I'm talking about is going to change the way cities operate. Last June, I advanced the idea that we are in a new era of American city, an era I call Cities 3.0, where cities are now the leading hubs of innovation, of entrepreneurship, and technology in this country. In 3.0 cities, we have more cell phones and landlines, more tablets and desktops, and more smart devices than toothbrushes. So you can get a feel of what that vision looks like. In a 3.0 city, the mayor must practice what I call open source leadership. It means that we look for the best solutions, regardless of where they come from. We don't get caught up in partisan politics because it's about us getting it done. We don't care where the ideas come from. The fact is acknowledged this fact is also acknowledged by the American public. Today, the U.S. Conference of Mayors and Zogby are releasing a poll that shows mayors are the government officials the public trusts most. Residents believe that what we are doing in our city makes sense. While only 29% of respondents think the nation is on the right track, almost twice that number believe that cities are on the right track. For those who are interested in the Zogby report, we'll have a copy. Mr. Zogby is over here to the right. Where's your son at?
Right there.
Oh, he has to earn his way up here. Okay. We'll keep him out there in the audience. So, you know, this good news kind of brings us to why we are here in Washington today. This week, the mayors are convening, and we have an action-packed week. Over the next few days, we'll hear from the vice president, which is a big deal for us, several cabinet members, including the transportation secretary, former Mayor Fox, our housing, our HUD secretary, former Mayor Castro, agricultural secretary Vilsack, a former mayor, and our intergovernmental affairs director Jerry Abrams, a former mayor. So you can see that this administration gets it, that if you want to get things done, if you want to connect the dots, you need to have mayors seated at the table in a real way. And then at the end of the week, we will have an opportunity to sit down with the president. And we're very proud that we'll be going over to the White House. We do not take this for granted. It's a big deal for us to have a two-way dialogue and real, honest discussions. You'll also see these sessions over the coming days. We'll be talking about pro-growth ideas like infrastructure, sustainability, income inequality, trade, and education, just to name a few. But of course, we'll take a deep dive into what has grown into become the issue of my presidency, the gulf of mistrust between communities of color and law enforcement. When a mayor assumes the leadership of this organization, we set out an agenda for that year, but sometimes you can't predict what the issues or events might be or what might end up usurping that agenda that you laid out. Like the terrorist attack, September 11, 2001, Hurricane Katrina, August 29, 2005, or the Great Recession in 2008. The issue of public safety and police-community relations has captured the attention of our entire nation, and it necessitated that mayors spend time working together on local solutions in these challenges. Being responsible for leading the country on critical issues like this, the mayors are comfortable being in the lead. We want and we stand ready to be at the helm. Given that cities are driving the recovery of the economy and the solutions of this great nation's most vexing challenges, we must shift the way that cities relate to the federal government. And this is very important. We believe that we have to shift the way the federal government relates to us as cities and the way we as cities relate to the federal government. We are facing an inversion of hierarchy between the federal government and our local governments. For this reason, I believe we need a new Federalist Compact where the federal government leads where it must, empowers cities where it can, and invests where it should. I'll be talking more about this new compact in my address later today, but we look forward to discussing this notion with the administration and the leaders in Washington so that we can move toward a dynamic that will be led by mayors for healthier cities and a more prosperous national economy. So I'm really proud to open up and kick off this conference. I want to thank all of our past presidents. Our past presidents, please raise your hands so you can see our past presidents. We got Mayor Nutter, Mayor Kautz, and the Dean, Mayor Riley here with us. Did you raise your hand? And we got the one and only Mayor Palmer out there in the audience, so thank you for that. I also want to thank Vice President Stephanie Rawlings Blake, who's not with us this morning. She'll be with us a little later today. And then certainly our second Vice President, Mick Cornett. Where is? Right shoulder. You on my right, it makes sense. That's where, it's where his politics lie as well. So you're standing right where you should be. Is Muriel here? Is Mayor Bowser here? Okay, and he's in the building, but I think he's in the meeting. And then later today, Muriel Bowser, the new mayor, which she's not here, I'm gonna call her the rookie mayor, will be opening up our plenary session. So I'm really excited about all the things they have going on. At this point, I'd like to have Mayor Cornett come up and just share briefly, and then we're going to open it up to questions, and then in some of the questions, I'll have different mayors respond. That way we'll get all mayors involved. So, Mayor Cornett.
Okay. First of all, thank you all for coming today. This is a big turnout. The meetings that I've attended this morning were overflow, hard to find a seat in some of them, and I think it's maybe more media than we've generally gotten. Somebody's doing something right. You must have a better press list than past mayors. You know, as mayors, we are well known for giving speeches in our communities, trying to bring people together, trying to weather the storm, trying to bring disparate ideas together, and sometimes bringing our city councils together for a common goal, because we know we have to move our cities forward. We know we have to have government advance for the betterment of our citizens. And I guess if anything disappointed me last night in the president's speech, it was that. It just seemed like more of the same. It seemed like more of the partisan divide. I think it would have been an interesting study to turn the sound down. And if you had turned the sound down, I think what you've seen was a president speaking to his base, bringing out things that sounded popular, and then you would see members of his party stand up and applaud broadly, and then you'd see the stunned look on the people in the other party who obviously don't agree with the president. And in an era where we need to bring people together, I just think the president missed an opportunity last night. You know, bringing in new social programs, asking for more taxes, which seem to be non-starters on the Republican side, whether you believe they're good ideas or not, they seem to be non-starters. And I don't sense that the 2015 beginning to our political season is going to be any different than the last few, and they've been real disappointing. We have real needs in our cities, and we're not going to get those needs addressed as long as this partisan divide is such an integral part of the congressional discussion. So that's my personal disappointment. Regardless of that, I think we're going to have a great conference this week, and we're going to advance our agendas and hopefully meet with the president later this week.
All right, thanks, man. I told you we're an equal opportunity organization. We wanted to let them go first and get it out so that everybody heard the balance of our bipartisan or nonpartisan organization. I, on the other hand, with all due respect, I felt it was a Super Bowl caliber speech, just for the record. It was about, you outnumbered here, Mayor. I thought it was positive. I thought it was optimistic. I thought it was forward thinking. The way I would put the perspective is this. Yes, there were things that both parties won't agree on, but I think it was very clear there were a number of things that both parties could work toward in this upcoming year, whether it's trade or foreign issues or cyberspace or law enforcement. There were a number of issues that both sides actually did applaud for each other because there's a real opportunity. And I think we as mayors truly have to lead by example. And the thing that touched me is this notion of a better politics. And I think that's what we try to exhibit day in and day out. And we're looking forward to partnering with this Congress, this administration, in a better politics, where we're talking about the things that we value, the things that we care about, and the things that we have a shared common perspective on. And to me, that's what real elected officials do. And if we don't do that, then we're missing our opportunity. And I think the president's, again, comments were spot on in terms of the opportunity going forward in the future. And I think we as mayors are looking forward to having real conversations with them. So at this point, if you have any questions, we'll take questions, and I'm gonna spread it around a little bit. So questions, raise your hand, fire away. If not, we got a lot of work to do. Yes, sir. Please tell me your name and your affiliation, because if we like you, we'll remember you. And if we don't, we may not call on you the next time.
John Wetmore, pedestrians.org.
Yeah.
Last fall, US DOT Secretary Fox announced a major new pedestrian safety initiative. What are the mayors doing to participate with the DOT in that?
Which mayor? Any mayor out here want to address us? Mayor Benjamin? All right, yeah, Mayor Benjamin.
Please, come on.
Sure, I
Oh,
can
yeah.
just tell you a little bit about.
Tell them your name, the great city you represent.
My name is Tony Harp, and I'm the mayor of New Haven, Connecticut. And we are engaged in a complete streets project. In my town, it's a very small town. We are doing bicycle lanes, we're doing better pedestrian lanes, and we are basically partnering with the State Department of Transportation as well as the federal department. So we are on it.
Awesome. All right, next question. Okay, you guys are easy. Yes, ma'am. Tell us your name and your affiliation.
Hi, I'm Bridget Bowman. I work for Roll Call. We cover Capitol Hill. I'm curious, you mentioned you're interested in partnering with Congress and you're looking forward to that. So what are some of the issues that you anticipate working with Congress?
Any mayor want to address us in leadership? Yep. Make sure you tell them your name and the great city.
No, I'm Greg Fisher. I'm the mayor of Louisville, Kentucky, the home of bourbonism. We'd invite everybody to visit Louisville. One area that cries out for help in each and every one of our cities are our streets, our bridges, even things as boring as sidewalks. And the breakdown in infrastructure we cannot forget. The economy's recovered, but some of our basic ways to get around still need to be addressed. So with the president and the Congress, specifically when this next budget is produced, it's critically important that tax-free municipal bonds are part of the budget. In other words, muni bonds have been tax-free for over a century now, and there is some discussion about placing a tax on those. The mayors of the cities of the country stand against that, but we need that investment in our infrastructure.
Awesome. All right, couple more questions. Yes, ma'am. Your name and your affiliation.
Hi, Kathy Shanling, that many of you know, and I'm representing UIN Magazine, Underground Infrastructure Management. What can you guys do, all of you collectively as mayors do, in educating Congress and the White House on better creating EPA, Department of Energy. Some of these departments are all run by ex-mayors.
We'd like to say former.
Former mayors, since some of them had to resign.
We've been told that words matter around here.
What can you guys, all of you do collectively as city mayors to get some of these administrative offices to better work together to address collectively energy and water issues, energy, water, transportation issues in the various cities?
Sure. I've been encouraged. I'm Steve Benjamin, I'm the mayor of Columbia, South Carolina, and I think we've all been encouraged. The dialogue we've had with the administration and with the president's cabinet secretaries to see the interfacing and overlapping. It's rare that you talk to the Department of Education secretary and he doesn't reference something he's working on with the head of HUD, or when you're sitting down with Tom Perez at Labor and he brings up another cabinet secretary. The overlap and the intersection of our various federal agencies, I think, is at an all-time high. They're doing a number of things together, and they're listening as much as they can to us on the local level to make sure that resources that sometimes get bottlenecked at the state government level, depending on what kind of governor you have, make sure those resources come down locally. All these things work together, whether you're talking about pedestrian infrastructure. We're in the middle of a walk-bike plan in Columbia, looking to make sure that we recognize that millennials, as well as those who are retired, want to have a multimodal approach to living in their cities right now. So we're adding bike lanes and sidewalks. We were awarded an $11 million grant, Tiger grant from HUD, from transportation, just a few months ago. I want to touch again on with Great Mayor Fisher, who also, I think many of us are part of the Bourbonism party as well. What Greg said, there are so many different major issues on education, on apprenticeships. Secretary Perez is here talking about that. There's so many major issues, so many important issues that I thought the president laid out very effectively last night. But there are very few issues that go to the central nature of the role that America's cities plays in making sure we have good, strong infrastructure, making sure that we have clean water, making sure that we're protecting these great tributaries that support our cities. We're in the middle of a $750 million build-out of our water and sewer infrastructure, and making sure the EPA is working with cities and listening as we try to deliver on these things, recognizing that almost 80% of all of America's infrastructure is funded by tax-free municipal bonds, and that's a covenant, a 100-year-old covenant between the state, local, and federal governments that has to be preserved. We're waiting, of course, on the president's budget and how the Congress will react to it, but we know on both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue, they will be hearing from the mayors that relationship is sacrosanct and must be preserved.
All right, thank you. We're going to take two final questions. I want to make one comment on what Mayor Benjamin just said. We feel like this administration did a really good job in terms of breaking down the silos between each department. It's been a 6-year commitment, and us as mayors being able to have access and give our input has been real. They want to go to make everything interdependent as opposed to having every department operate in silos, and I think you've seen that start to happen. And for us, it's paying dividends in terms of our relationship with the federal government and cities in real ways. All right, final two questions. You guys got a flip over there. All right, you're up.
Phil Selway from Bloomberg.
Yep.
Just pick up on something Mayor Fisher mentioned a moment ago about infrastructure needs. You put out this report today about the economy, its growth being felt pretty much everywhere. Yet over the past several years, cities have been pretty hesitant to borrow money on their own to put money into public works projects. You're feeling that that's starting to change, or cities getting more comfortable borrowing again now that the economy's back, tax revenues.
Awesome. Any mayor want to address us? Yep.
One of the things that
Tell them your name and your great city.
Mayor Pedro Seguera, Hartford, Connecticut. One of the things that we've taken advantage of is the low cost of borrowing to do a lot of municipal refinancing. But you know, the needs in our cities are so great that the amount that we would need to borrow in order to fix our infrastructure on our own local dime, especially fiscally challenged communities such as Hartford, it's too overwhelming. In our city, we have a levee system that needs to be repaired. That's $100 million. We have old highways that were put in that basically divided up our cities and blocked access to our great Connecticut River. So in those areas, we know that in the past, we have benefited from stimulus programs that have not only put people to work, but have helped us incredibly to cover the cost of projects that are national in nature, but that we cannot afford at the local level.
Awesome. All right, let me just make two comments that tie to this. One is Chairman Schuster is going to be here as well, so this gives us an opportunity, again, showing the bipartisan commitment that we have. And then secondly, because of Mayor Fisher and our relationship, we're sitting down with Mr. McConnell while we're here and talking about these issues in a real way. So again, I feel like we're leading by example, and we're sitting down with Reed and McConnell. We're having the conversations across the aisle that we know need to happen in order to make real transformative progress on these infrastructure issues. All right, who wanted to flip? All right, hold on.
I'm not making that call. It's tails.
You don't say it loud. Hold on.
Okay.
Tell me. All right, y'all call it. Heads or tails? What was it?
Go for it.
Go ahead. Your last two, go ahead.
Ken Cunningham, here in D.C. It was interesting to hear you mention that a part of your response as mayors, as first responders, is to deal with the mistrust between communities of color and law enforcement. So obviously there needs to be new ways to do community policing, community-oriented policing, which does work. It worked in this city. I'm kind of aware because I helped lead one. That's another story. But are there new innovative ideas that are coming from mayors, new approaches to community policing and community-oriented policing that we can discuss here that will come out of this conference?
Awesome. And then
Mine actually relates, but it's specifically for you, Mayor Johnson. You sat on the President's Ferguson Commission. What are you bringing from that experience to this table as mayor?
all right, I'm going to throw this to our past president, Mayor Nutter, who usually speaks for me anyway. So he'll be able to address both of the questions.
Mr. President, thank you. Let me take the second one first. Under the great leadership of Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, the chair of the Mayors and Police Chiefs Committee for the U.S. Conference of Mayors, we just had a call, was that last week, to put forward USCM's, U.S. Conference of Mayors, position on a variety of issues related to police-community relations. I was also at the meeting with President Obama and Vice President Biden. Police Commissioner Ramsey from Philadelphia co-chairs with, of course, Lori Robinson. I think, it's a combination of certainly some new things that we can do, but this is really about communication and coordination. And so, having these listening sessions, we just had in Philly, Attorney General Eric Holder having the first of a series of community listening sessions with our local U.S. Attorney, Zane Meminger. And so I think this is one of these situations where we have to hear you, the community needs to know we're listening, and then we need an action agenda. Huge, protests all over the place. I respect all the protesters. I think we need to move now to a point of what are we actually trying to accomplish? Is the issue about, grand juries? Is it about, secrecy? Is it about, having more data and information? How many civilians may have been shot or killed by the police? Did they have weapons or not? Were they unarmed, et cetera, et cetera? And, at the same time, how many police officers are shot or injured by citizens? I mean, they do very, very dangerous work. The essential issue here is people want good police officers in their neighborhoods. So they're not against the police, they're against bad policing. Well, good police officers don't like bad policing either. And good police officers also want good community representatives and citizens to be actively engaged and involved. They know what's going on in the neighborhood. There clearly has been a divide. It's been growing for some time. And so the incident, the tragedy in Ferguson, the tragedy in Staten Island, and many, many other places that are not, running on the national news networks on a regular basis, we have to heal and repair that damage that's out there. Knowing that officers know how to de-escalate situations, that they have the proper training, that they have the right equipment. You can't always figure out what's in someone's mind, and quite honestly, when you have a gun staring you down 10 feet away, you have to make a critical decision at that moment. But then we need to let people know what happened, what really went down, and try to restore that trust and faith. And so the leadership of President Johnson here, the leadership of President Barack Obama in this particular instance, and many, many others, I think will bring about the kind of healing that needs to take place, the amount of communication that needs to happen, and really help people to understand that at the end of the day, Citizens want to be safe, and they want to go home to their families. And police officers want to be safe, and they want to go home to their families. So all lives matter. And we have to deal with the violence that goes on in communities each and every day that often has nothing to do with the police officers in our communities. People are killing each other. Officers run to that danger to try to make sure that people are safe. And citizens give up information, at times at great danger to themselves, to help the police do their job. We have to bring those parties together. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm sorry, sir, what was?
Mine related to, I guess, innovations and ideas that, I guess, touch on community policing.
Sure. So, I mean, a lot of discussion certainly about body cameras, which are helpful after the fact. I think the training up front is really, you know, has to be an essential component of this conversation. A body camera is only going to tell you what happened after the incident. Not shooting the person if you don't have to, not engaging in a certain level of force if you don't have to, is on the front end, and that's where continual training has to take place. And again, many of our budgets have been cut. We've not been able to hire as many officers. Often training is one of the things that gets cut. The federal government can play a significant role in helping small, medium, and large cities and police departments all across the United States of America in this particular area. And so, again, it's a combination of old school, new school, put it all together, and you can move this nation forward. Thanks.
Thanks, Mayor. All right, I'll close out with a couple comments, and it kind of deals with both of your questions. Mayor Nutter did a good job of explaining kind of where we are. If you think about this, Ferguson happened on August 9th. 1 month later, we as mayors convened in September in Sacramento, and we started grappling with this issue. We have a task force led by our mayor from Gary, Indiana. We're very proud of the work they're doing. They're actually presenting to the president's task force, that's kind of what your question was, this week. So we'll get a chance to present our recommendations to the president's task force that he'll bring back. The next month in October, we're in Little Rock, celebrating the 20th anniversary of the COPS program. Mayors have always been leading on this particular issue, and we're going to continue to do that while we're here. You know, when you think about frameworks and what works and doesn't work, these mayors in their respective cities have a lot of innovative things that they're doing. And sometimes it's rocket science, sometimes it's not. But we have to share best practices. The general framework has been, you know, things around training. So you can go de-escalation and a number of things on training. The diversity has been a very important topic for us. Accountability has been an important topic, and engagement. And that's what we're looking forward to really sharing with the President's Task Force while we're here. So again, thank you both for your question. Last two things, I want to thank our President and CEO, Tom Cochran, and his staff for his incredible leadership. So Tom, thank you so much for all you do. And all the mayors who are here, Bashful, you get a chance to say your name and the city you're from, and then we're going to close. So Dean, you can start us off.
Joe Riley, Charleston, South Carolina.
Greg Fisher, Louisville, Kentucky.
Kim McMillan, Clarksville, Tennessee. Elizabeth Couts, Burnsville, Minnesota.
We'll go.
Greg Ballard, Indianapolis, please no questions about deflated football.
Mark Stodola, Mayor of Little Rock.
Lester Taylor, East Orange, New Jersey.
Dan Rivera, Mayor, City of Lawrence, Massachusetts.
Shane Bemis, Mayor of Gresham, Oregon.
Brian Barnett, Rochester Hills, Michigan.
Pedro Segura, Hartford, Connecticut.
Mike Nutter, Philadelphia.
Carl Sherman, DeSoto, Texas.
I'm Steve Benjamin, the mayor of Columbia, South Carolina.
Raz Baraka, Mayor of Newark, New Jersey.
Mick Cornett, Mayor of Oklahoma City.
Eric Jackson, City of Trenton, New Jersey.
Bill Finch, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Marshall Leclerc, Mayor of the Town of East Hartford, Connecticut.
Tony Harp, Mayor of New Haven, Connecticut.
John Zogby, being better than mayor.
Imelda Martinez, Mayor Corpus Christi.
Awesome. Any other mayors out here?
Elizabeth Parker, Township of Teaneck.
Awesome. Any other mayors? See Mayor Fenty out here. Mayor in the back, say it.
Brian Jarvis, Mayor Peter Creek, Ohio.
Awesome, great. Okay, everybody, thank you, and enjoy the week.
Good job. Good job.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Nice job.